Welcome back to Huddle Up. Thomas Pargnick, Luca as always. We're not running on a CFL field this week. Unfortunately, we had a ton of fun doing that last week. But we do have a very, very special guest joining the show. There's also been just a week. I mean, I think we ended with the extra point last week talking about which games we're most looking forward to. It was a great week 5 in the CFL. We got week 6 ahead. So very, very exciting times right now. Luca, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. I'm excited for our special guest. He seems like just an awesome dude to talk to. Like, yeah. I'm just really excited to talk to this guy. He's been in the CFL for a while, a little tease, and he's from a team that we haven't had an interview with yet. So they're playing in a huge game this week, and I'm excited to talk to him. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's one of those Western Conference battles where they're maybe, we'll call them like the middle teams. And, you know, these games are just so important, and they're going to really matter come October, November when we're looking back at the standings. Yep. But yeah, should be very exciting. But I guess we will start off the show. It is a bit more of a somber note because last week we did talk about the return of Jeremiah Masoli and how excited we were for that, and how the Red Blacks just really have a second chance at turning around their season under him. And unfortunately, he went down on a non-contact injury and tore his Achilles, and he's going to miss the rest of the season. And just given his age and his injury history, it's just obviously a really, really tough time right now for the player, for the team, for his family, his friends. So I guess we're just going to say, you know, heart goes out to Jeremiah Masoli. We wish him the best. We wish him a speedy recovery. And we hope this is just another part of what is an epic comeback story. And maybe he can make the best of this and one day be back on the field in the CFL.
Agreed. And it's one of those things, too, where if you're an Ottawa fan, they went on that big spending spree where, like, they signed so many players, and Masoli was the centerpiece of that. He was going to be the quarterback that brought it all together. Didn't even start over 6 games in the last 2 years for Ottawa. Just injuries have really, I guess, hindered the development of that team, and it's not anyone's fault. Like, freak injuries happen like that, which sucks. But it also sucks, too, that, like, a guy that was sitting behind him is also hurt now. Yeah. That a guy that they were looking at that, okay, maybe he's the future of it. And I feel like a few CFL teams are in this spot where either injuries at QB, like you're seeing it with Hamilton right now, or Edmonton with no real kind of plan going forward at QB, that there is kind of this top-level talent. You've got Trevor Harris, you've got Caleros, you've got Chad Kelly playing really well with the Argos, and then you've got Vernon Adams, and then Cody Fajardo's kind of been a mainstay the last few years in the CFL as a starter, but then there are a lot of question marks behind them, and with those teams kind of at the bottom, and so you just wonder from Ottawa's perspective, it's really tough because I don't think you kind of fully get to realize that vision of signing all those key players and having them come together, and you really haven't had that kind of grow and come into fruition because of the injuries, and it sucks. It really does suck because the East kind of seems wide open every year. There's not a team that's run away with it the last couple of years. Yeah.
Obviously, injuries are far and away the worst part of sports. No one, you know, fans always want to see the best talent, and when something like that takes the best talent off the field, it's tough. But yeah, we're in a weird spot where quarterbacks just seem hard to come by. Yeah. Even a team like Calgary, moving off of Levi Mitchell, you know, Jake Mayer, he's been all right, but you know, I still think they want to see a little bit more from him. But you know, it's still early days in the season. But there are a lot of question marks at the most important position right now in the league.
Masoli too. Yeah. Like I remember that Grey Cup, they lost to Winnipeg, but him coming in for Dane Evans, like, and just almost winning that Grey Cup and what that would have meant for him, for the city of Hamilton. Like, he grew so much there. That was his place. It's where he became one of the most electric quarterbacks we've seen in the CFL. Like, with his legs, with his arm, it sucks. Like you said, hope he gets back, hope he gets healthy, and we get to see him at his best sometime soon.
We'll shift gears to talk about one team that is also struggling, and they've now set a big record, and a record that you absolutely don't want to set, losing 20 straight games at home, and that's the Edmonton Elks. Winless on the season. They were 4-14 last year, but again, no wins at home. They actually haven't won at home since they changed their name. Yep. It's just gotten crazy out of hand. It's a quarterback carousel. They've already started a number of guys this year. It seems like week to week they have a different plan. And the schedule, I mean, when you're in their position, there's definitely no easy games in this league.
You would have thought this one was the easy game. Bo Levi Mitchell out against Hamilton, but...
When is the first win going to come for the Edmonton Elks? We got the schedule.
Are we saying first win or first home win?
I mean, at this point, they'll take anything. Obviously, it would be nice to win in front of their home crowd, but like the next 3 weeks, they're
done.
They play the Bombers, the Lions, and the Bombers.
They're not winning any of those games, and 2 of them are at home.
So you're already looking at potentially a 22. Then you got the Ticats on the road, maybe,
but Bo's back by that time.
And then you got the Red Blacks at home. I think this is one you could maybe circle. It's by no means a sure win. By no means it's a sure win considering how the Red Blacks beat them earlier this season.
If they don't beat the Red Blacks at home, they've got Calgary, BC, and Montreal after that to end at home. If they don't beat Montreal, it might go to 26. Like, legitimately. I don't know. I don't trust them. Like, maybe they beat Calgary. Maybe.
So I think they are going to win again at some point. Like, I do think they're going to win this year.
They'll have a win this year. Yeah, they're not going to lose every game.
Look how the game against the Rough Riders went. They were so... If it weren't for a big hiccup,
yeah,
they have a very good chance to win that game.
Taylor Cornelius is good enough that, like, they're going to win a game. Is it going to be at home, though? Okay, so where are they winning, then? Do you think they win in Hamilton?
I think they're going to win that game in Hamilton. I do.
And do you think they get their first home win against
then
Ottawa?
Now you're talking about 2 wins in a row, which has just been like they're coming off this crazy long losing streak. I don't know if that, like, now it's at the point where it's tough. But I'm like, I do think you're right. From a home win perspective, it is incredibly tough. Like, they have to win that game at home against Ottawa.
They have to.
Yeah.
Or else, like, I legitimately think...
Because it's just a whole bunch of Lions, Bombers...
Like, what's crazy, too, they've gone through 2 team presidents, 2 GMs, 3 head coaches during the span that the last time they got a win at home was. You already mentioned the name change. Logan Kilgore got their last home win. He's a quality control coach for the Broncos now. Like, it's got to end at some point, but if they don't beat Ottawa... Okay, so you're saying... I honestly think their first win... I think you're right. I think it comes against Hamilton on August 17th. I don't think they win another game at home this year, though.
You think they're going to go the whole season?
I think they're going to go the whole season without winning a game at home.
So you think they're going to win like one game this year?
No, like I think maybe they get one. Like the last week of the season, they're in Winnipeg. No one's going to be playing for the Bombers. They might win.
Unless they're fighting with the Lions for,
maybe actually. Okay, yeah, I guess one win. Like I just don't know who else they're going to beat.
I think they can beat the Alouettes at home. I think if you catch Fajardo on a rough week, the Owls' offense has been a little bit inconsistent this year. The thing is, their defense is awesome. And it's like the Elks got to score. I mean, they had a chance to win scoring only 11 points, but that's not going to happen every week. Like, you got to get into the 20s and, like, they've been shut out once. They've scored 13 points against the Riders. They scored 11 points against the Riders, 7 against the Red Blacks.
So they've scored 13 or under in 4 of their 5 games.
Yeah. So...
That's bad.
Something needs to change, but clearly, stating the obvious.
I love the over-under, though. I guess if I don't think they're going to beat Ottawa, then I don't think they win another game at home this year.
Let's go on to polar opposite side of the spectrum.
All right.
The Toronto Argos are the CFL's only undefeated team remaining, and not only are they undefeated, they have been convincingly the better team in all of their games. Last time they started 3-0, they won the Grey Cup. Last time they started 4-0, they won the Grey Cup. They have a chance to go to 4-0 this week against the Montreal Alouettes on the road. But the question is, how much longer can the Argonauts stay undefeated? Because, again, we got their schedule, and they don't play the Bombers for a while. They don't play the Lions for a while. After that, it seems like in every game they play, they are going to be the favorite to win for the foreseeable future. I think that's a fair statement.
Do they play the Lions again? I don't even think they play the Lions again.
Yeah.
When do you think they lose?
Next couple weeks, they're going into Montreal, into Hamilton. It's a home game against Saskatchewan, but that is Touchdown Atlantic out on the East Coast.
Which they won last year in dramatic fashion. That game was nuts.
Go into Calgary, and then they got 2 home games in a row against Ottawa and against Calgary.
I think one of those Calgary games slips them up. I think it's the one on the road.
Yeah, so going from Touchdown Atlantic all the way to Calgary.
Yeah.
That is
3 road games in a row, or 4 road games in a row like that. Like
pretty much.
Montreal, Hamilton. I mean, they're both East Coast, but still. And then East Coast, like actual East Coast. And then Calgary. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's that Calgary game that they slip.
Other than that, I mean, like, if they somehow find themselves still undefeated, that September 29th game in Winnipeg is going to be, and that's the first time they play them too this year.
First and only time.
That'll be
the Grey Cup rematch.
A really, really good game to circle, and there will be a lot on the line. But yeah, the Argonauts look great. The Elks, not so much. Regardless, we're just going to have to wait and see how the rest of the season unfolds for the Argos, but they have looked very, very incredible. And I think it all starts really with the Andrew Harris connection to our show, him coming in. And I think this is a nice time to even say that we will have another Argo joining us in studio next week. I'm not going to reveal who it is, but stay tuned for that. But anyways, let's get into our guest this week, linebacker of the Calgary Stampeders, Micah Awe. Micah, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Doing well. We're quite a ways into the CFL season now. Everyone's gotten their feet wet. How are things going for you and the team?
It's going good. Our record's what it is, but other than that, no. I love this team. I love my teammates, the staff, the organization. It definitely makes moments like this a lot easier and kind of just hopeful.
Got a big game coming up this week against the Riders, and looking back in history, it was interesting because I was doing some reading and some stats, and you guys haven't lost at Mosaic, the Stampeders, since 2018. I believe it's 8 of the last 9 meetings at Mosaic you guys have won, so something feels like home there for the Stamps. But just what's the mindset heading in, and what's so great about just playing at Mosaic? Because I feel like it's just different playing in Saskatchewan than a lot of other CFL cities and stadiums.
Yeah, it definitely is different. I kind of today, I was looking at McMahon Stadium and kind of reminded me of, I had the random thought. I was the first time I saw Texas Tech Stadium when I was a freshman and thinking oh my gosh, whoa, this is college football. That's the same kind of feeling I get, when I go to Saskatchewan. It's just the game day vibes, especially with the afternoon game. You're just all right, this is big time football. I guess something about having, big time football, big time plays and stuff like that. It's kind of Stampeder football, always ready for those big moments. So I think that's the reason why there's probably been success. So, the past has nothing to do with now, but for me personally, going there, the better the vibes, the bigger the booze, the better to play.
I love that. That's great.
You talk about the past, and this is more so recent because you have matched up with the Rough Riders once this season, and it was a very, very close matchup. Honestly, probably one of the games of the year in the CFL so far this year, going into overtime. But it was very tight. What's it going to take to get over the line this weekend and beat those Rough Riders?
Oh, man. So for us, I feel like we got a little bit of a foreshadowing in my eyes that first quarter of Winnipeg's game last week. There was just a feeling in the air, that first quarter. There was a calmness on our sideline, and the way that game was going. Yeah, it didn't end up the way we wanted to end up, but I felt something I haven't really felt in my whole career. And it was just a calmness of just hey, if we just do our jobs, we're a pretty good team. So that's what we're going to focus on is, Saskatchewan had good. They ran the ball on us pretty well last game, and I take that personally. But it's not just my job; it's our whole defense's job. So, they're gonna run the ball. I think we're watching against Edmonton. They ran the ball the first 5-6 plays were all run plays. So they have no problems running the ball and then using Trevor when they need to. So for us, it's just gonna come down. It sounds cliche. It sounds like everything else everyone else says, but just do our job. Because the truth is, if you do your job, then you let your athleticism take over and you let your athletes take over. And we got a lot of players on our side.
speaking of doing your job and your job at linebacker, I feel like linebackers, especially in the CFL, have to be some of the best athletes on the field because of just the attention to detail that comes in coverage and that comes with rushing the passer, being able to go sideline to sideline on the bigger field. So having that athleticism in mind, if you didn't play linebacker, is there a position that you think you would thrive in other than linebacker, that if you got put there, you'd be okay?
No one. Everyone's gonna laugh. I already know it. We actually talked about this like 30 minutes ago on the field.
Oh wow!
But a running back. I mean, I'm not lying. Who was that? There was the most recent guy. I forgot. He played, I think, in the USFL or something like that. He played linebacker in college. Now he's one of the best running backs in the USFL or whatever. But for me, I already kind of play running back in a way. Wherever Morrow cuts back, I see the same hole, so like the way he runs is the way I have to run. Mm-hmm. I just gotta be a little bit more under control. And I'll even say this, as a linebacker, you have to go off his speed. You have to wait for him to burst. So then that means you have to be that much more athletic to burst after he kind of makes the move. That would be the position I play, I think, on offense. And on defense, probably safety. I mean, I'm more of a safety type guy. I mean, like me and Cameron, we're athletes. Like, yeah, we play linebacker, but we're athletes back there. And you're right what you say about linebackers. In this league, if you're too slow, the field is so wide and so big, you simply just can't survive up here. So I think my past experiences, at Texas Tech playing the Big 12 offenses where it's all about offense, really prepared me for the CFL.
That's a great point. Those are just shootouts every week.
Oh yeah.
Actually, we might as well jump into it. Ask you about your time in college playing with Texas Tech, and you were there at a pretty special time playing with a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, we know what he's gone on to do. Was there maybe a moment watching him, especially in his younger years, where you kind of knew already that he would go on to be as successful as he has?
Oh man. First off, you guys are hilarious bringing up this Big 12 and Texas Tech. We just had this huge conversation on who the second best conference was. And for some reason, no one wanted to say Big 12, even though TCU played Georgia. But anyways.
Who did everyone say?
They were just like, that's not the Big 12. I'm like, well, it's not the Big 10 either. TCU whooped Michigan. And last I checked, second place was TCU. Yes, they got destroyed. Yes, I understand. But that was the second place. Well, that's another conversation. Y'all need to call me back. Back on Mahomes, because this got brought up too. The new quarterback Netflix documentary come out yesterday. I have this hilarious story. Like me and my wife, my girlfriend at the time, we were like somewhere on campus, like one of the food markets, and Mahomes came up to me and he's like, "Hey, Mike, can I have your cookie?" And I looked at him like, "No, of course not." And I walked away. And then ever since then, my wife always was like, "You probably should have given him that cookie. He probably would have been." But no, Mahomes. I tell people all the time, it was kind of the standard. I mean, before Mahomes was Baker Mayfield. And I don't know if anyone remembers that, but I was practicing against him. But with the Kingsbury offense, the air raid, I mean, it was just the standard. Like if the ball needed to go to like the go route on the outside, it got there. If it needed to go on the post route, it got there. So to me, it was regular. I thought every college quarterback was like that. I mean, until, we play Oklahoma State and he threw for 760 yards in one game. Yeah, I knew he was better than most guys, but for him to be like the baby GOAT, I'm not surprised, because the thing about Mahomes is like he always wanted to be great regardless of the situation. So, and that's really like a lot of Tech guys, honestly. Pete Robertson will tell you the same thing from Saskatchewan. So he's an awesome guy, and I'm proud of him, but I'm also not surprised that he's doing what he's doing.
When you guys go back to Texas Tech or whenever you link up, like is there a story that sticks out that you always kind of reminisce over, whether it's a game or just like you said, a memory like that of not giving him a cookie? Is there something that stands out in your mind that you guys go back and forth on?
For me, with Mahomes, it was always like competitive. He was the quarterback. I was the linebacker.
Yeah.
And my one road to fame or whatever, which to me was, again, just a regular routine play. We have a spring ball, and we had our final spring ball game at Midland, big game, 40,000 people come out.
That's so cool.
And it's my for a spring game. Anyways, so then it was like the stars were in, and it's my senior year, and then I was in cover like Tampa 2, and I picked off Mahomes right down the middle. He's throwing it to Jason Morrow, and I picked him off, and no big deal. So now I always tell people, like, he's not a big deal. He's just, he's our Texas Tech quarterback, and you're like, oh no, he's freaking amazing. I'm like, no, I'm telling you, like, that was just the standard.
Yeah.
And so to me, I feel like it helps me out in the CFL.
Yeah.
I mean, people, are you scared of Caleros? And I'm like, I can literally tell with a straight heart. I don't care who you put at quarterback. Like, it does not matter, because I've seen the best. So that's kind of like one of my stories. And then I'll give you a small little story. This is kind of like a story. Me and Mahomes both wore those Under Armour highlight, the Cam Newton highlight shoes, and but they didn't have a lot of them because it was like one of those special kind of cleats. But we wore the same size shoes, and mine have doled out because I'm a linebacker.
Yeah.
And of course he 3 pairs because he's a quarterback. So I asked him for one, and I got one of his cleats. And again, this is pre baby goat time. And my senior year, I'm like training for pro day, and one of my trainer friends, he was like, hey, can I have those cleats? And I'm like, yeah, sure. They're Mahomes, and I give him the cleats for free. And I'm just like, to this day, I'm like, man, those are Patrick Mahomes college-born cleats. And I gave it away, and I had it wasn't even a thought process. It was just like,
of course,
yeah, just the quarterback. Like, what do you?
Yeah.
Now I'm like, man, how much would those cost now? Or should I find them? Anyways, but that was one of the stories. I literally wore his cleats to practice. So
that's
it's a story.
That's a fun story.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'll ask you a little bit about your days in the CFL. Now, you've played for a number of different teams in a number of different cities. Is there a place you like to play in most? We'll say as a visitor, because I don't want you to have a bias here. Obviously, you want to say Calgary, but is there a city that you say, man, this is just a great city to play in?
You're gonna think I'm making this up. My favorite place to play was Calgary.
Okay.
And now I have proof. My first ever game, when I was at DC Lions, preseason game. I mean, I was backing up Solomon, and then of course 12 hours before the game, Coach Wally is like, Solly's not traveling. Micah, you're starting. Which normally is a good thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm starting, but I'm like, wait, I'm also starting on all the special teams. And there's no TV timeouts. And I heard like their elevation or something like that. So it's like, I was just like, oh, hold on. So, I mean, that was my first ever preseason game. And I remember going down on kickoff. And I just came from the NFL and doing all preseason and, kind of special teams there. And I remember seeing this guy who was going to block me. I'm like, oh, he's like a D tackle. I'm like, I'm going to outrun him. No problem. And man, we had like the biggest collision I've ever had as a pro athlete. I'm like, and that's when I knew like the CFL was on a different level. I was like, there's no way I had my most physical contact in the CFL over the NFL. But that's when I knew, okay, the CFL has extremely high talent. Mm-hmm. Like, you might not know the names, but these guys are like very talented, and that's why they're there. And then later on that season, I actually had one of my first starts as a middle linebacker was against the Calgary Stampeders. And I'm not going to mention that name or that game. You're going to have to look it up yourself. But
okay.
The fans definitely knew me here, and I had a good game, and most of my games were good against Calgary. So and now I'm here. So now my favorite home games are here, and I'll answer your question anyways with a away team. And that's a tough one because everyone has like it's kind of like playing Pokemon. You go to different gym the gym arenas, and how like being in the grass, and so it's all good, different different vibes. And I would have to go with Montreal because when you hear the Zebra-V, like I don't know what they're saying, but it's like let's go, and it's like a different language. You just feel like wow, like I'm playing professional football and like in another country, and so I think Montreal's just because of the different vibes and the different language, it kind of like makes you feel like whoa, like this is real, like we're playing in a real league, like this is awesome.
That's such a unique answer. I love the reasoning for that. And also, food in Montreal is outstanding too. So that doesn't hurt. Nightlife in Montreal, like that also helps.
Yeah. All that helps.
I love it. A couple more little segments we want to do with you. We're going to go with this or that. So we'll give you a couple options. You just hammer one little reason why. So if you're playing a linebacker, you rather stuff the run or rush the passer? What do you like doing better?
That's not a fair one, because stuffing the run is doing stuff in the run, but rushing the passer, am I getting a sack, a strip sack, fumble? All right, if I'm getting strip sack fumble for a touchdown, for sure,
rush the passer.
Everyone loves the quarterback, so got to be the enemies and the villains and go after the quarterback. So
okay.
Sorry, Rick.
That's a fair one.
Yeah.
All right. Would you rather have a forced fumble or an interception?
Again, what kind of forced fumble? I'm gonna go with an interception.
Big hit.
I'm gonna go with I don't know. I got a forced fumble this year, and Dozier got a touchdown. So anything for the team.
There you go. It's a good answer.
Yeah. There you go.
Man coverage or zone coverage?
Oh. As a defensive court, again, so many questions. I'm gonna go man. I'm going man. Yeah.
All right. Home jersey or away jersey?
That's not fair. Away, but I want a color rush jersey too.
Ooh, that would be nice. That would be really nice.
White on white.
Ooh.
With our Calgary stripes, come on.
That'd be clean.
All right, that's a good one.
That'd be clean.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen. Color rush in the CFL. I love it. Canada or Texas food? So I guess you can pick like a region in Canada if you want, but I know like Texas barbecue is really popular. So whatever like the most popular food in Canada is, I guess it's like poutine, but I don't know. This might be a Texas.
Texas hand down. Yeah. Sorry, poutine. We have something that's similar to poutine. It's called loaded nacho fries, and it's much better. I'm sorry. I tried different kind of poutines. I'm not a fan.
That's fair. Hey, you tried it.
You just go to Texas and you'll agree with me.
I've had Texas barbecue before, and I think I've lived in Canada my whole life, but I think I'd agree with you. God. It's really tough to beat.
That's an easy one. That was the easiest one.
That was easy.
All right, this one might be easy too, especially being from Texas. Cold weather game or warm weather game?
I'm from Texas, and I'm also from Nigeria, which is the equator, so I have to go with warm weather. But I will say, if you're playing the cold, it's playoff time. For me, from being from Texas, anytime after Thanksgiving, you're deep in the playoffs. So I'm going to have to go with the cold weather, because that means good things are happening.
Oh, I love that. I love the direction you took with that. All right. We like to end every interview with a segment we call 3 downs. And for this one, we're going to do start, bench, or cut. We're going to go back to food. So Canadian food, Nigerian food, Texas food, start, bench, or cut.
Starting Nigerian food, which I just made my first pair of jollof rice. Y'all asking all the right questions. Literally had my mom on the phone for an hour and a half to cook. It's called jollof rice.
Okay.
Go look it up. It's amazing. And I'm like, man, I can never make like my mom. But she was on the phone with me on FaceTime for an hour and a half, and it turned out just like what she used to make.
Ooh.
So
that's big.
Yeah. Go check my story from Instagram. Anyways,
love it.
Nigerian starting, bench, Texas, and sorry, you're gonna have to cut that Canadian. I'm sorry, Canada.
Are there any spots in Canada that you've had good Nigerian food at that, like, if anyone hasn't tried it, that they should go try? Because obviously a lot of people, if they're into exploring foods like we are.
Yeah. I mean, Again, I'm a big Indian food guy, so I found Indian food, I think it was junior year in college, and ever since then I've been hooked. But if you want a good Nigerian spot in your BC, there's one in Surrey, and it's called African. It's called I forgot what it's called, but it's right next to where we practice. And I mean, I've been going there since 2017, and I still go there, and it's amazing food over there. But shoot, go try it out, man. Just try out different foods. You never know.
Absolutely. You're not living life if you're not trying different foods. That's something I'll always stick by. You can't just go to a restaurant and order chicken fingers and fries all the time. You got to just expand your horizons a little bit.
All the time. Sometimes you go to Dairy Queen and do that every once in a while.
But not all the time. Not every single time.
All right, Micah, we really appreciate you coming on the show today. We got to have you in studio once. We got to do Texas barbecue, some Nigerian food, and we just turn the cameras on, eat, and talk football. That would be, I think, a good second episode.
Call me up. I'm going to get y'all right. I'm going to get y'all right on Texas food and Nigerian food for sure.
Cannot wait.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. All the best the rest of the season and this week against Saskatchewan.
Thank you. Thank y'all so much for having me.
Big special thanks to Micah Awe. Just an awesome conversation.
Yeah.
Like, we could talk to that guy literally all day. That was so much fun. And if he is ever in Toronto, we would love to have him in studio. We'll have a guest in studio next week from the Argos, as we teased, because we're in Toronto and it's a lot easier to make that happen, obviously. But that was amazing. The Mahomes stories were great. Just every answer is so insightful and so much thought into it. Like, even the question about what city playing
he gave
in
us
most
like a story and everything.
Yeah, and it was just so fascinating. Like, I love the different perspectives of players, and just for hearing him to be like, they speak French there, so it feels like you're playing in a different country. It's a completely different language. That's something that I would never think to be a reason, like, why that feels different playing in Montreal, and why that's a really cool atmosphere to be a part of. So just such an amazing conversation with Micah. Looking forward to hopefully talking to him again. But you want to get out of here? Let's do the extra point.
Yeah. This week, we did rank all the teams in the CFL a couple weeks ago. Now we're going to do a little different and talk about style.
Okay.
So on the field swag, jerseys, who's looking the best. This week's extra point, which team in the CFL has had the best uniforms so far this season?
Argos. We got to see the Baby Blues up close and personal when we were running on the field, and man, like, they're outstanding. They are the best jersey in the CFL by far. I don't think it's even a question. They should wear them every home game. They should wear them every chance they get. They're so clean. They look so good. It's like the CFL's version of the Chargers baby blue. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing.
And they have the helmet too, which you think would be too much, but it actually works really well.
Oh, it works so
especially the game we were at. It was kind of like late. It was the evening, but it was light at the beginning of the game, and then it got dark, and just that sort of like twilight, Ibimo. It was awesome.
So which one are you going with?
I'm gonna go with the Owls, and actually these two teams play each other this week.
The new ones,
but the new ones.
They're really
those red uniforms with
really
the blue
nice
accents. It's kind of like Color Rush, like Micah was saying. He wants the stamps to get in, but those red uniforms are just so nice. I wish they would wear them more often. I honestly think that they should just be the primary.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they. I really do like those. Thing is, they wore them in a rain game when it was dark. I feel like if you wear those uniforms in a game where like the sun's out, it's bright, and you got that red. Dream scenario, I don't know if this would ever happen, just because usually one team is light, one team's a dark color. But if the Argos were wearing those baby blues versus this red, that would be the ultimate jersey matchup.
Look at that.
But
Look at these.
Alouettes, if you're listening, I mean, we had a player on a couple weeks ago. Maybe the next time we have an Alouette on, we're going to try to pass along that message.
Okay, these are the picture. Oh, man. Yeah, those are clean.
Wear those red uniforms more.
Those are clean.
That's our message.
It's a really good choice.
But yeah, that is the extra point for this week. Thank you again to Micah for joining the show. Thank you to everyone for listening. And if you have a player that you want to see on, let us know. So thank you, and we'll see you next week.